Hi and welcome back to another abstract watercolor art journaling video. I will play not only with watercolors today, I will also use some collage elements and crayons. And here you see me starting with the Opera Rose color. I believe it's from Rosa Gallery. And here I'm mixing in the quinacridone red. I decided I will use some autumn colors. I have no color scheme in mind. I just start intuitively and I pick colors where I think they fit my theme. Here I'm going in with, I believe, the golden yellow from Rosa Gallery. I am not 100% sure because I have a lot of different paints on my desk. I have two watercolor palettes, one with the warm colors and one with the colder colors, and I have almost all of them in a bigger pen, in a full pen, not in a half pen, because then it's easier for bigger paintings to go in with a bigger brush. I often get asked which watercolors I'm using, and I'm using the watercolors from different brands. I have Rosa Gallery, Schminke, Van Gogh, and I also have a palette from Mijello Mission Gold, which I really love. It's a really pretty palette. And I also have some from White Nights. And by the way, the brush I'm using is in Germany called a French watercolor brush, and I believe in English it's just called a mop brush. And you can see, as always, I just play intuitively. I let the colors flow. I try to mix between light and dark colors to get a higher contrast, and I also want to increase the contrast by using sharp edges and soft edges. And the green is a nickel azo yellow from Van Gogh. I will now let this dry before I come back for another layer. A second layer over an abstract watercolor painting always gives depth to your painting. Watercolors dry usually pretty light, and if you want to have intense colors, you have to add more layers. And I use this property to create depth and more layers in the painting, which makes it more interesting. And you can also see that I switched the brush. I am now using a smaller one with a more rounded tip, which is easier to paint circles with. And I also make some patterns with the brush, and it's perfect to make tiny ovals. I wanted to create different textures, and therefore I am picking a liner brush to draw almost on the painting, and I just wet the brush and then I paint it into the wet paint areas, and then the paint runs into the wet lines I have drawn, and that gives me a really nice texture. The brush is from the Black Tulip brush set. I recently reviewed it because the company was so kind and sent them to me, and I really like that set, especially this brush. Here I'm adding some of the Naples yellow. I just love this color. It's such a beautiful yellow. It's a bit more on the opaque side, but I really like that it's not as bright as yellows often are, but it's also not dull, and that's what I really like. I let my spread dry again, and now I will come back in with some collage papers. I'm picking different ones. This one is a jelly print. Well, I believe all of them are jelly prints. And if you're interested in a jelly printing video, you will find a playlist with all my jelly printing videos linked up in the end cards. There are also videos where I give you ideas what you can do with all those beautiful papers. I picked jelly prints with similar colors. So I have the brown and the soft yellow tone in this one. And this gives me another layer which creates more depth, and I also like that I get really sharp edges, which even increases the contrast. And this is an old book page that I have also printed with the jelly plate. I will now go in with my Neocolor crayons. I'm using the number 2 ones because they are more creamier than the number 1 and they are a bit more opaque. And I'm starting with a red, which I in the end feel is not the right color, and I will adhere another collage element later over this big red circle. That's also a nice thing about mixed media, in case you do something on your page that you don't like, just glue something over it, paint over it, depending on the mediums you're using. And that's what really makes it easy to play, because you don't have to be afraid to ruin a page in your sketchbook or to create something ugly, because if you don't like it, just go over it. And this proves me to get a nice result almost every time, and that's what makes the process even more fun. Here I decided to add more of this turquoise. I have some turquoise fragments on the bigger paper. It's not good to see on camera, but I really like that contrast against all the warm colors. And so I decided to cover up some areas, or to add in some scribbly marks with that turquoise color. And that's what I really like about the Neocolors. They are super versatile. You can just draw with them, and you can use them as watercolors, as I did it in my last watercolor video. You will find it also linked up in the end cards. There I haven't used watercolors to paint, I used only the Neocolor crayons. And these are also my go-to supply when someone asked me which supplies they should get for mixed media and to get started. I always say get some gesso and get the Neocolor II crayons. They can do everything. They can act as watercolors. You can scribble with them, you can draw with them, you can work over gesso with them, and that's really, it's a super great product, I feel. Now I was searching for a piece of scrap paper to glue over that red-brown circle because I didn't like it. And these papers are my leftover paint papers. And whenever I paint with acrylics, I have a paper laying next to me and use it as a palette. And if I have something left over, or if I have to clean my brush, I just wipe the paint all over this paper. And usually these papers are great for collaging. And with the one I destroyed here, I created another collage artist trading card, and I think it turned out really pretty, and I have it recorded for my Instagram reels. So if you're interested in that, check out my Instagram channel and go to my reels section. There you will find even more video tutorials on how to play with collage elements and how to draw or how to paint. And I try to make everything as easy as I can, because I think everyone can paint and can be creative and can create beautiful art, and you don't need to take hours and hours of tutorials or classes before you can start. You can start immediately. By the way, for gluing down my papers, I'm using the Tombow glue stick. It's my favorite glue stick ever. Unfortunately, I think it's not available in the US, and I don't know if there is something similar, but I feel it's a difference against the usual Yoo-hoo or Pritt glue sticks, because it doesn't give you that much cream on the back of your paper, and also the papers are not buckling in any way. Just the smell of it is a little bit strange, I feel. I added some more of the paper over the big brown one I had before, and here I use a darker red than before to cover up the first one. I wanted to have even more contrast, and there I'm using just the black crayon to add some accents. For an abstract painting, you could leave it as it is, but I am someone who likes to have focal images or something realistic to see in such a painting. And here I just went through my collage stuff. I have a box with pre-cut images, pre-stamped images, and these leaves are from my pencil marks stamp set. I believe it's the number 2 one, and they are also stamped to these leftover paint collage papers, and then I cut them out. And here I'm just looking which one I prefer on this spread, and I think I made the right decision using the blue-green one. To bring in that turquoise color even more, I add some marks with the crayons, and I also do this with the light green, so everything looks cohesive. I am happy with my spread now, and I am adhering that leaf also with the glue stick. And that was my video for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you are inspired to create something on your own. And I also hope we see us next time. Bye!